Okay, hear me out. What if downsizing isn't about giving things up, but gaining something greater? In this powerful episode of Aging Unscripted, we sit down with a compassionate and awesome team from A Move Handled with Care to explore the emotional and practical realities of downsizing later in life. Welcome to Aging Unscripted, a podcast with a different perspective on aging. Here we explore a wide range of topics aimed at celebrating, supporting, exploring, and honoring the aging journey. I'm Jill Vitale-Yassam, and I'm privileged to serve as the president and CEO of Christian Living Communities, a nonprofit senior living organization in Denver, Colorado. And in studio with me today is Pam Sullivan, our co-host. And Pam is our vice president of communications and philanthropy.
Hello.
And we're super excited today to have special guest, Cierra Olmstead. And Cierra is one of the owners of A Move Handled with Care, which is a move management business that's been operating here in Denver since 2007.
Yes, good track record.
I just can't say how grateful I am that there are people out there like you and your team, because I think when people start to think about downsizing and moving, people get paralyzed. Right?
Very much.
So talk to us a little bit about what inspires you all to do the work that you do.
Well, it's such an interesting thing because, as we always say in our teams, moving is the worst, right? And it's worse. The worst. And especially when you're downsizing, because not everything can come with you. And I never want to move, right? But when it's not my own and it's somebody else that we can walk through this very fragile process with, it just makes it like I'll do it all day long. I love it. Everyone on our team absolutely loves helping take a very complicated process, which really, when you think about it, it's not complicated, but it's emotionally complicated, and helping people walk through that. And then at the end, literally seeing their face almost melt all the stress away. It brings us so much joy and privilege to be able to serve older adults in that way.
And you saw it from the other side. So we go way back with Cierra. And you were working at Claremont Park, one of our campuses, and helping people with their move-in process, right?
Right.
So then you saw that need, I'm assuming, that people have.
Yep. Well, the two original founders of the company were moving our residents in. And so I got to know them. And then I ended up purchasing the business from them. So it was really fun to be on the other side, where I would see people come into the community and be even overwhelmed still, because it's a new lifestyle, it's a new home, and then here these two ladies are bringing them in, and you just see the stress melt off because they're settled, they're ready to just enjoy their community life and live in these beautiful places and not have to worry about unpacking boxes and where do my pictures go and all of that.
That's no fun. Yeah.
So let's back up the moving truck. Before we get to the community, when should people really start thinking about moving and downsizing? I mean, it seems like it would take forever to do.
Right. I will say, so one caveat is start today. Right? Even if someone is not planning on moving, even if you're 56, even if you are 41, start today. Okay. No matter what age, because Americans are just amazing at collecting stuff, and we just don't need all of the stuff that's in our home. But realistically, if people go through this process more methodically, it's going to take the stress off. Now, if you are planning, if you know for sure that someone's moving and saying, hey, we want to be out of our house in 6 months or whatever, 6 months is usually a good time frame to really start honing in, because you do have a lot of time. And so it helps give a timeline, right? Because if you don't have a timeline in sight, then what happens is people then, someone calls, hey, you want to go to lunch? Yes, I do. You want to go play golf? Yes, I do. And then it never gets done, right? So you kind of have to have that deadline at the end. And 6 months is a good amount of time where you're not going to drive yourself too crazy.
And things change. I moved 2 years ago, and they moved up our move by 45 days. I moved junk. I still have it sitting in my storage room. I still need to go through it. So it would have been so much nicer to have started earlier and have that know that I don't want this stuff in my house anymore, but I just moved a bunch of junk.
Right. And you paid for it.
And I paid for somebody to move my junk.
Right.
And now it's sitting in my storage room taking up space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's things like that. It's going methodically through it and really figuring out, do I really need this? Do I not? And that's why I say starting now, like even going through your house, like seasons of life change, right? Probably every 5 years, you probably have a different change of maybe kids are leaving the home. Maybe your spouse is, now retiring and your lifestyle is different. You're going out to eat more or whatever. Like you just live in your home differently. And so it's like, do you really still need all those platters and all that servingware and the lawnmower and the trimmer and, things like that.
So go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking about downsizing, or really like the title of this podcast, right sizing, which I really love that framing of it, that strikes fear into the hearts of people, right? And there's a lot of emotions that go along with it and family things that go along with it. So I'm guessing having someone who is not part of the family assisting with this process is helpful. Yeah. And so how do you work with families who maybe it's sons and daughters and their parents are looking at downsizing, moving in, and some people might be like, we don't need to do this yet, or some people have emotional attachments to things and some don't.
That's me. I mean, I moved over a box of elementary school projects. The kids are never going to want that.
That's right.
So I wasn't able to do that. I mean, how do you help people through that?
Yeah, right. Well, it's really stepping back, and it is true because we both, Paige and myself, have moved our family members ourselves. And we always look at each other going, wait a minute, we got this wrong. You need to move my family and I'll move your family. Because it's very emotional. And that's why I say, like, I don't want to move myself, but I'll move everyone else all day long.
The lack of personal investment in it.
Right. I don't have the investment in it. But that's where we are really counselors in this and helping people talk through those emotions and figure out, like the elementary stuff. I can't tell how many times we move the box of elementary stuff.
Yeah.
And the kids are 50, 60 years old at this point. And
Christmas ornament. I mean, yeah.
Right, exactly. And it's walking through and talking through. And the most amazing thing that we have nowadays is digital, right? You do have to pay for digital stuff, but it's not as expensive as a storage unit. It doesn't take as much
for like all the photo albums.
So
do you have people with that?
We do. We have a ton of contacts and resources. So it's like, hey, if you don't want to get rid of this, I understand that. But what about if we send all this artwork off to this amazing company? They're going to photograph it and put it in one little book for you. And we can go even further. We don't even have to get the book. We can have it online. And actually, I met with a client the other day and they said, oh, well, we should just scan all of our photos and all this old artwork in and we'll put it on our family website. And that way the family has access to all this stuff. You can share all these things digitally. And then that way, like your kids, maybe they did want to look at it once and then forget about it.
Or show their kids. That's the legacy piece that you're like, okay, but what if somebody wants to hold on to this and it was passed down to me, so I have an obligation to pass it down, right?
But I think the biggest thing in that too is realizing it's okay to let go. And just because it's the legacy of it, like you don't have to be the keeper of it. Right? Because I will say I'm the legacy person in my family. I'm the one that does the family tree and I'm always on Ancestry.com and things like that. But it's like when it comes down to physical items, like either digitize it and let's move past it. That's kind of what we really encourage people with because it just doesn't take up space. But then again, like look inside yourself. Is it truly something that defines you? And is this something that when you pass away, they're going to be like, oh yeah, my mom saved all my artwork. That was amazing. Or they'll be like, mom saved the artwork.
But I saved it for all these years now. I feel like I have to now save it.
Okay, and then it's like, is that who you are?
Generational hoarding of things, right?
Exactly. Right. Really looking inside and saying, is this really me?
Right.
And letting and being okay. It's okay to let that stuff go.
Yeah. How do you? So I hear from people, That, and when I think about it myself, like downsizing feels like a loss of something, right? But it sounds to me like from your experience, it's an opportunity to refocus, realign, like that whole idea of you're not losing something, you're gaining something. Will you talk more about that?
Yeah, 100%. It's really, the biggest thing that we see is moving is like the top 3 stressful things. It's one of the things, right? It's like selling and buying a home, and maybe a car or something, and then moving is up there. But the thing about it is you already have such a stressful thing going on, and then you're trying to go through the memories, and it's amazing how confused we get by our stuff, right? How much mental capacity our stuff takes up in our brain, even though we don't, you're not thinking about your toothbrush every day, but like it's still in your mind somewhere. It's just, and so by really letting go of things, it actually is, your mind is able to be opened up to so many more things. And I think in today's world, the experiences that people are able to do, and just the ability, especially with aging and how much longer people are living, and the ability to do things, even if you're, like in a wheelchair or any of that, the ability to go out and do things is so much. And so if you clear your mind of your stuff and fill it with those experiences, you're gaining so much more, or just like meeting people. Because so many times people won't leave their homes and they're lonely and they don't have community because they're stuff.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do with the stuff. And it really bogs them down. And so by really opening up your heart and your mind to really letting go of things, you really open up your heart and your mind to so many more amazing experiences.
I feel like going home and just getting rid of stuff tonight.
Right?
Wait till my husband comes home and there's nothing left in her head.
She's right. I mean, you moved recently too. Didn't you feel freed a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I went through a phase where the Marie Kondo, the life-changing magic of tidying up. And I did that and it was like, whoa. But then I heard later she had kids and her house started getting cluttery. But it's very freeing. And I really love what you said, that there's a correlation between the physical uncluttering and physical space, and then that space within yourself.
Right.
Oof, I love that.
Right. Because it is. You're thinking, it's like the antique china hutch that has been passed down for 5 generations. Like, that's amazing. But is that really you? Does that really define you? Is that what people want? Do you want to be remembered for the antique china hutch? Or do you want to be remembered for like the gifts that you gave to people because you were able to go out and, either talk to people or just go for a walk in nature and randomly meet someone and have a conversation, and then you start a friendship. I mean, it's those things, like our stuff. It's just amazing how much it bogs us down and how really it keeps us almost in our homes instead of adventuring out.
I remember talking to Paige, your business co-owner, and she was talking about the unforeseen financial considerations of not downsizing or like that hutch. You want to send it to your niece in California. What's the cost of that? Things like that. So what are some of those unforeseen financial things that people just don't think of when they start this process?
Well, and this is what is a good thing and a bad thing of our society, and how things are so easily replaced, especially with furniture, because to ship something across country is astronomical. If it cannot go on a UPS truck or a FedEx truck, and even then, it's getting pricey. So these big pieces of furniture, I mean, you're looking at upwards of $5,000
Wow.
to send it cross country, and the piece might only be worth $100.
Right.
And so and again, that's where you just have to decide, like, how valuable is this? Is it worth my time? Is it worth the money? Is it worth the memory? Or is it, let's take a picture and just say that was a good, it had a good life. And so when people move and they don't downsize, we run into this a lot where we go in and we say, okay, your move's going to be X amount of dollars. And they're like, okay, great. Well, I'm going to get rid of all of this stuff. Great. Well, and then they don't. It just increases the cost. And like you, Pam, I
paid somebody to move my junk.
Pay someone to move your desk. Probably a pretty penny. And it wasn't cheap. And so now we're just kind of wasting money. And it really is. Moving is not cheap, especially now. I mean, labor is expensive. Fuel is expensive. It's nothing in this world is cheap anymore. But don't pay to move stuff that you're just eventually going to get rid of or don't want anymore or is broken or, that's where right sizing, you can do it right. You can have a good move experience. You can pay a good price and then, just enjoy this new life.
So give us just a real high level overview. I mean, we've talked about the value of it, but what should people expect when they work with a move person like you?
Yeah. So move management is very different than just hiring a mover. And that's the biggest thing that we have to educate people on is that a move manager is, if you hire just a mover, what they're going to do is they're going to come in and pack. You can hire them to pack or not. Pack, they're going to load the truck, and then they're going to offload the truck. And probably what they're going to do is they're just going to put boxes wherever they want to put them. And they usually get furniture where you want it. And then you're left with all these boxes
For weeks.
to unpack.
Or years.
Or years. They just never, everyone has that one box in the basement. We have no idea what's in it. It's just the box that moves.
You've moved it from every house you've moved from for the last 30 years. Yeah, I have one of those.
Exactly. But working with a move manager is really where we take on that full hand-holding, coordinating process. At the end of the day, while we're movers, we're really a logistics company is what we like to say. Because what we're going to do is we're going to come in, we're going to methodically sit down with you and decide what furniture can go and what furniture can't go. You're moving to a 2-bedroom apartment. We don't want to have you literally walking like a Tetris game around your apartment. So what furniture makes sense? We'll do a floor plan, help you go through stuff, do sorting, and help you decide, do I sell, do I donate, or do I trash? Those are kind of the 3 places that items end up going that aren't going with you. And so we help decide that, help coordinate that, help get it to wherever it's going. And then we physically come in and methodically pack everything. We take high-level notes, like her side was always the right, his side is always the left. Okay, this is how you function in your kitchen now, so that when the movers come, we're all packed. The movers come, they load the trucks. We go over to the new apartment or the new home, and then we are going to unpack it. So then, like I said, she's left, he's right. They like a coffee bar, so we're going to reset up a coffee bar, and kind of put things back almost identical with a new configuration.
Right.
So then that way nobody's ever going to walk in and say, I never moved one thing that you put away, right? You're going to have some shuffling like we all do, but you are 99% done. The 1% is your own, like, oh yeah, no, actually the silverware is good here, but I think I would function better with the silverware on this side.
And you even hang the pictures.
Yeah. And we hang the pictures, we make the bed, we make sure there's clean sheets so that really that night, we have so many people that move into your communities that like at 5:00, we're finishing hanging pictures and they're like, can I go to happy hour? And I'm like, please do. I'll just close the door when I'm done. I'll be done in 5 minutes. Going to fluff your pillow and just make sure everything's tidy.
Well, you helped my parents move into our Holly Creek community, and it was such a gift and such a blessing. To them. And then also, because the last thing you want is a family is to be doing all of that together, because it can cause a lot of, challenges, right? Especially the emotional things. And so, what a gift.
Yes.
What a gift.
Well, and I was talking to some of our folks at the community, and they say the residents who have a move management help as engage with community life so much quicker because they don't have the burden of unpacking and setting up their apartment home.
Right.
So the whole reason somebody's moving to community is to have more community.
Right.
They're able to do it because you've released them from those burdens. Have you? What anecdotal stories have you heard from some of your clients after they moved into a senior living community or something like that? What did they say to you?
Well, everyone says, I wish I would have done this sooner. This was the best money that we've ever spent. And it's funny because we get a lot of phone calls from people that go into communities with having just moving companies do it. And they call us in a panic and they're like, I'm living in boxes. Because here's the thing, you can take books off the shelf 1, 2 at a time and put them in a box. What's going to happen when that box is full? You cannot move. I'm strong. I move a lot of boxes, but like they're heavy.
Yeah.
I can't expect these people to.
And they're just thrown on the floor and
Yeah. And then what happens is then they start to undo it. But if the bookshelf is in the other bedroom, now they're having to take one book at a time. And it's the physical exhaustion that happens on moving. And that's what I don't think people realize. People don't move enough to realize how physically exhausting.
And it's overwhelming.
And so overwhelming.
I'm one that like freezes up when it's overwhelming, right? And so,
oof,
you can see getting stuck in that.
And I go back overdrive and overdo it and then wear myself out and then need 3 days to recover.
Right.
Because I'm like, I can lift this.
Right.
And that's not healthy either. So
exactly. So I will say it is one of those things where, people call us in that panic and then we come in a day or two and get them all sorted. But we come in and it literally looks like a bomb went off because again, then your mental capacity is really hard when you're like trying to put stuff away, but you have clutter and boxes and all these things around you. It's hard to think straight.
Absolutely.
So what's your piece of advice for older adults who are one piece of advice, like the number one thing you would tell an older adult thinking about right sizing, not downsizing, and getting ready for a move? What's the thing you want them to know?
I would say engage a move manager. Even if the move is a year out, 2 years out, just engage a move manager. Talk to them have them over to the house. We do complimentary consultations. And we'll come in and just kind of talk through what this could look like for them, how it can work. Because as you said, Pam, someone could be planning for 2 years and then have something happen, have a tragic event that just moved the timeline up a year. And that's stressful. And so if you already have somebody behind you that if and when you're ready to really dive in and start this process, you just have to make one phone call and it's all done. I mean, think about that peace of mind.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
What about the adult? So
I was thinking the same thing.
Child, we're all in this boat of supporting parents. What's the one thing you'd say to the adult child trying to maybe their parents are looking to them to do this work, or maybe their parents are like, no, we need to save the money for our retirement. What's the one thing you would say to an adult child who wants to consider this for their family?
Same thing. I mean, I've been in that. I was the adult daughter, or I guess adult granddaughter helping move. And it's interesting because so many times parents look to their children and think, oh, well, you guys can do it. I think adult children have to be also realistic with their parents and say, Mom, Dad, I will support you 100% in this move, but I'm not going to pack your boxes. Sure, we can do some sorting with you and go through things as you have time, but let's engage a move manager. Because the other thing is that the adult children really should be the support for the parent. When they start to become the worker bee of the situation, that's when the tension rises, the family starts fighting, things start happening, and then they're trying to be the worker bee and the supporter, and it's not working. And there's so many times, again, where we come in and it's like this, we just then have to counsel, like family counseling, And so it's engaging professionals, right? Like your water heater goes out. You're not going to be like, oh, well, Joe, can you come over and take a look at my water heater? I know that you kind of know something about it. It's like, no, you're going to call the professional, the plumber. Right. So it's like, call the professional. Yeah. And the money that you think you're going to save, you're not. And that's the hardest part because it's time versus money, right? You might physically save a little bit, but the time and the stress and the headache that it's going to cause, in my opinion, is not worth it because you can be done in 3 days versus months.
And that physical exhaustion, please, just wrapping back around to that. I mean, I was so tired after this last move that much more this last time than I did 13 years prior. It's a lot.
It is. And we do unfortunately find those that are moving into retirement communities that try to do this themselves. What happens is they get there and then they wind up in the hospital 1 or 2 days later because they're so physically exhausted that their body then is shut down, they're dehydrated, whatever the situation is. And we see that a lot. And those are the ones that we get a lot of calls for that, hey, we tried to do this ourselves. Mom's in the hospital, dad's in the hospital. Can you guys come and just get this set up?
Oh, wow. That's a rough phone call.
That is. That is. So I have a question for you. This is out of curiosity. What is the one thing that you see people keeping that then they're like, why did I keep this?
Everything. Everything. It's so different across the board. I will say a lot of it is tchotchkes, a lot of collectibles. People bring the big china hutches and it takes up so much space and it's got all the collections in it. And then they kind of start living in this space and they're like, ooh, I don't really like this anymore. It starts to feel too cluttered because the big china hutch looked great in a big grand living room. So a lot of tchotchkes, the platters. A lot of women have a hard time thinking I'm not going to be entertaining, like I once did. And
Your favorite too, and let the rest go.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. I loved it at Claremont Park when Cierra and I both worked there when John Elanius moved in.
Yes.
He was like, we need to have, because everybody thinks they need to bring a crock pot and everybody thinks they should bring an ironing board just in case. And so they created that community place where you could go and it was like a library, a loaning library of stuff that you don't have to keep, but it's there for the community. I thought that was a really cool community initiative.
I love that.
So thank you, Cierra.
Thank you.
So Cierra, again, a move handled with care, and a move handled with care. You also have your own podcast. Will you talk a little bit about that?
We do, yes. So our podcast, Paige really spearheads it a big time for us, but it's called Making Space For. And it kind of goes through all the processes of life and what different ways of making space for things in our life. So it's not just downsizing and right-sizing and moving, but all other things. You guys were featured on it. Just all kind of things aging and how do you make space for different things in your life?
Oh, that is a cool concept.
That is.
And I do find it very necessary to talk about making space for the things that matter, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'd love to kind of tell this one last story that I think really helped wrap up the thought and the emotions of right-sizing. So my grandmother was a collector. She was the one that when Sears had the sale, when you could buy, open up a bank account and you get something from the bank account, right?
Yes.
She collected everything. And we always said, when she passes away, Costco's going to go out of business. Just shop her. And she had a big, my grandparents had a big farm property, so they had barns of stuff.
Oh, wow.
So,
jeez.
yes. So fortunately and unfortunately, she passed away before my grandfather did. And when she passed away, we cleaned out the house, we cleaned out the barns. My grandfather is a very simple man, and he was like, I don't need anything. And so we spent months and months and months cleaning out. We had a huge estate sale at the farm because there was barn full of stuff.
Oh my gosh.
And we always kind of had a joke, like we would go somewhere and then we'd be like, I'm looking for something specific. And she'd be like, oh, it's in the barn. That's always in the barn. So, fast forward 5 years later, my grandfather was still living in their home. We had sold off the farm property at this point, and he was needing to go into assisted living. And so we moved him to assisted living from the big house. And he just wanted a studio apartment. This is how simple he was. And he took everything that meant something to him, right? Obviously essentials, bed, chair, nightstand, things like that. And he took one bookcase and he probably took 10 kind of tchotchke things that meant something to him. And we set up his room. Well, he then passes away. So this is like 5 years, this is about 8 years after my grandmother passed away. So he passes away and the family goes in to clean out his studio apartment. And within 30 minutes, we were done.
Oh, wow.
Because what he had done is he had labeled who wanted what and what he wanted to go somewhere. And we walked in and we were able to just kind of collect what we wanted. And then we called Gone for Good, which is a junk hauling company, to just come get the rest of the furniture. And what was amazing was that no one fought because it was done. We didn't have to spend days and hours on top of an already emotional passing to then clean out the house and have even more emotions pop up, that we could really focus on him and his celebration of life and kind of ending that chapter of our family.
What a gift. That's a real gift.
It was the best gift. And that is what I will say. I think people who do this ahead of time say, this is a gift that I want to give my children. And it truly is, because when you pass away, it's already hard. It's really hard.
There's a lot of emotions there.
But when you can focus on the person and not the stuff, that's the biggest gift of all.
Yeah.
Oh, what a beautiful story to end this. Thank you for sharing that. Wow. Well, Cierra, thank you. And we so appreciate our listeners and our viewers joining us today for Aging Unscripted. It's a reminder that aging is indeed unscripted. Please, please, please subscribe to our podcast on your favorite streaming channel. Also check out Cierra's podcast, A Move Handled with Care, and be sure to share the podcast with others. I really think this could help a lot of people.
I think it could help a lot
just today.
Yeah. Making spaces.
Yes. Right sizing and making space.
Yes.
For sure. Each of us has a journey that is as individual as we are. Not everyone receives the gift of aging, and it is truly a sacred phase of life that should be honored and celebrated. Thank you.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you.